I'm going to show you the proper way to install a standing seam metal roof. Now, because this one is copper, it needs to be installed to perfection. No cutting corners. It's $100 a square foot. The rule of thumb when you hire a roofing contractor is do not hire an asphalt roofing contractor to do your standing seam metal roofs. The reason why you don't want to hire them is because they don't have the sheet metal skills typically to do something like this. Typically. These are some of the tools. This folds the panel over and this crimps it. I'll show you how those work right now. This is something most people do not go through and do, is measure up 1.25 inches, 1.25 inches. Then you need left-hand sniffs for one side. Remove that, and then you need a set of right-hand snips. Then, because it's copper, the guillotine kind of folds this over funny because it's softer metal than steel, so I have to trim 1/4 inch off of this. Now this is where these tools come into play. This one slide that on there. You fold it over. I wish I had my hammer on me right now, but I don't. Now the reason you bend this over is because I make my own drip metal. You see how it sticks out? When you put it on the roof, you slide the panel on like that. This will be nailed to the roof. Then this tool I can't do that. But that tool, say that's there, you take this tool and you crimp it onto that. A lot of people will end up putting screws here, here, and here. The problem with that is metal expands and contracts. And when it does this so many times, that screw is going to slowly work itself up. Other contractors do not put anything here because it looks cleaner. The problem with that is the metal humps up. And then when it's windy, this piece of metal here will sit there and flap up and down, and it will go bzzz in the wind. I've had many people ask me, why is my roof making so much noise? Well, that is why, because it wasn't installed properly. Doing it this way is by far way more expensive. Don't get me wrong, it's probably 3 times more. You have to charge a lineal foot for all this kind of stuff. When somebody just gives you a square foot price, it means they are not putting the effort to going this far with it. We'll put a screw here and a screw here, sometimes 3. Well, that just causes problems because metal expands and contracts, and it's going to keep moving back and forth, and it's going to eventually work those screws up. There's not a steel roof with exposed fasteners. The screws don't work themselves out. It might take years, but if you're spending this kind of money on a standing seam panel, don't cut corners. Watch the rest of this video and you'll see the entire roof installed, because the trim detail that goes along the gables is way more complicated.
This is a good place to show you the time-lapse video of the short roof going down. This roof is about 5 feet long. The silver lining stuff that I'm standing on is a low E product. It reduces the sun heat transference through the roof deck by 30%. It has no other meaning other than that. Plus it's a little softer, so it helps with this copper sitting on top of it. This flat roof, it's almost flat. I put ice and water, then dry in, and then this Energy Star product on top. So it's never going to leak. Never. This is the tool that crimps everything down.
Wish I didn't have mud on it. No fasteners here, because this is how I did it. It's bent over a drip edge and crimped.
This is a view of the other side. These panels on the other side of the roof are 14 feet long. You can see how that metal is clipping onto the D-drip style I manufactured. So no, there's never ever going to be any wind, anything that is going to lift that panel off of the roof. The only thing that's bad about installing it this way is if you ever have to replace it, it's not fun. Not pleasant at all.
Now I got all the panels down. I like to install the last one in place even though it needs to be cut. And this here is a Malco sheet metal shear that mounts to a drill. I put it on upside down so the battery's not in the way to cut the material off. It is very important to use the right fasteners when you're working with copper, by the way. The only two metal copper that you can mix with copper is stainless steel or brass or copper. If you do anything else, then it will electrolytize and it'll end up rotting around the screw. So you got to make sure you use the proper fasteners. Well, I think I'm done for today because it's raining and I don't want to be on this through the rain, but I got to make a trim that clips on here that'll be a hidden fastener system. So keep watching You'll see how that's built and how it's clipped on to the fascia and to the top of the roof, concealing every fastener. This is the tedious part. And then across the top of the wall, I'll show you how to fill these voids without using foam, but using copper. A lot of people use foam because it's an easy way to get through it, inexpensive.
What I'm doing here is I'm slitting down a coil to make the trim package I just talked about for the gable trim. And to make this work, most people just typically stick on a barge rafter cap or a gable cap and screw it down to the roof. I have to make, because I'm doing a hidden fastener system, I'm making a track that mounts down first to hold the second piece. So literally there's two-part system that I'm manufacturing right here to hide the fasteners. Now you saw that I was putting something on the bottom of this. I put silicone on the bottom because metal has a tendency, if it's just overlapping something, it actually wicks water in, and water will actually travel uphill. If it hits a seam, it'll go up underneath metal. So that's why I put silicone down. And then I screwed it all down so it all adhere, creating a gasket. Now you can see that I'm mounting two parts. This is the track right now that I told you about. Putting it down and then grunting and sliding up this other panel. See? Absolutely no fasteners exposed. Is it worth the effort? I don't know. As long as somebody's willing to pay for it, it's absolutely worth the effort. It is very time consuming, if you can't tell. Now I'm moving on to the wall flashing. Just taking the finished flashing and sitting it in place to mark where the Z channel gets mounted down to the roof for the next step.
This Z metal right here that I made is the most overlooked part of a standing seam roof. It's crucial because you sit it down between these ribs so rain does not drive up the roof and underneath it. The wall flashing, it serves another purpose because I hooked the wall flashing to it, so that means the fasteners are hidden. You don't need to put anything here. It won't lift up. And it doesn't just hold it in place, but it keeps the metal from going wavy between the panels. lot of money.